Hello, welcome to Module 5. Hope you're having a great week. As I looked over the content that is in Module 5, there is a lot in this module, probably more than have been in the previous, in terms of the number of videos, articles, resources to review. So I'm going to make this a pretty short intro video to the week, just so that you can jump into the other content that is in the module. Just a couple of things I wanted to highlight. One of the videos that you'll watch is about the difference between accommodations and modifications, and I've referenced this a few times in some of the feedback that I've given in your assignments, but there really is an important distinction between accommodations and modifications, namely that accommodations support a student in accessing the curriculum. They change how a student learns or responds, the way the material is presented or the way the student responds. But ultimately, they keep intact the objectives of the content or the activity. That is different from a modification that changes the what the student is being taught, the standards that are being addressed, the complexity that is being addressed. So both accommodations and modifications have a place in what we're doing for students with diverse needs, but certainly modifications have a much more significant impact when you think about changing the content, changing the standards. If we were to do too many modifications, we're really lowering the expectations for students and in essence taking them off of diploma track, whereas accommodations are really the mechanism that are in place to allow students to access that curriculum and stay on par with the standards that are being addressed with their non-disabled peers. So an important distinction. I think the video will help that as well, but just watch that vocabulary as you're going through this week and the next couple of weeks as we talk a little bit more about differentiation and how we accommodate or how we utilize both accommodations and modifications in the classroom. This week's videos, there's one on accommodations and modifications. There's one kind of giving another example of UDL in the classroom. One of your assignments this week is to create a lesson plan using a template that's provided. I've given you a resource, and then there's a short 3 or 4 minute video from Patton's, which is an Indiana resource that's focused on assistive technology. They've created a lesson plan template, and I'll show you that in just a second too. So there's a video that talks about some of the key components of their lesson plans. And then what your reading is about this week and what a couple of the videos are about are teaching gifted students. So there's one that's specifically about teaching gifted students, and then there's a final video that's that talks about twice exceptional students, so students who have a disability but are also gifted. And so those are unique students to work with because they pose really different challenges than anyone else that we're talking about, because they're quite unique. And so this video gives you an idea of kind of how to gain some background and some experiences with students who are twice exceptional. So I talked a little bit about this this template that is in, and I provided the link to you to Patton's. Just look at it. It gives some different ideas of how they break apart a lesson and how they design a lesson using UDL framework. You don't have to submit anything. You don't have to go through the entire process. But I wanted you to see kind of how they break out, how they structure a lesson, and the key components as you think about a lesson that is designed around universal design for learning. And so hopefully you'll find that useful as you jump into the lesson plan assignment this week as well. So this week you'll read chapter 13 about teaching students with special gifts and talents. There's a discussion that asks you to review 3 different apps that can be used for diverse learners. You'll see in the module there's a list of several different apps and computer technological tools that you might want to dig into and learn from. There's the lesson planning assignment that has some additional readings and resources provided. And then if you could, I'd like you to email me this week an example of an accommodation that you use in your class and a modification that you could use in your class with students. Accommodations should be pretty simple. If you don't use any modifications, tell me that, but tell me what you might do if you had a student in your classroom with more significant disabilities and you needed to modify your instruction in some way. Let me know that too, just so I can kind of gauge that you're making that distinction. So that's it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving, and I will see you next week.